lifestyle to what's going on in their communities. When you think about issues from the residents' point of view, and God knows you've represented Long Island for a long time, what are some of the ones that you see?
Well, residents are always concerned about taxes. I don't think that crime is an issue that resonates as strongly with residents here on Long Island. Taxes are number one. But of course, the bottom line to that is that over 60% of your tax bill comes from the school districts. But yet the residents are prepared to take it out on a politician if their taxes are too high. I think the environment is becoming a stronger issue now for the first time. People are starting to worry about things like, if you will, Brookhaven waste disposal, the issue of erosion of the shorelines, the issue of this crazy type of weather patterns, if you will, that leave us totally unprepared, and how well prepared our local governments are. So I think we're seeing the dawn of a lot of new issues that were really, they fell way down on the list of what the voters were concerned about, and they're now slowly creeping into the public psyche. So we will learn lessons tonight, but the environment, taxes, if you will, and maybe some peripheral local issues. There are issues in Long Beach that are completely different from the issues out in the town of Southampton, if you will. So people generally are worried about zoning changes. They're worried about the lack of affordable housing. That's a continuing thing. You know, people are concerned about, if you will, about whether we're going to have migrants coming to Long Island. In the meantime, the young people are on the other lane leaving Long Island. These are the kinds of issues that people start to talk about in local communities, and they're waiting to find some politician who's got an answer.
Now, Jerry, which races do you think we should keep an eye on as tight ones?
Well, I think, clearly in Nassau County, it's the town of North Hempstead, which is, the number one. Glen Cove is an interesting thing where you have a former Republican now running as a Democrat who was an office holder. Watch out for Long Beach, because Long Beach, while historically it's been a Democratic community, Long Beach is on the cusp of changing, and it may well be that local issues this year affect that. When we get out to Suffolk County, I think your key issues always become, if you will, taxes and safety in general. I think the county executive race, of course, in Suffolk County is a big challenge for the Democrats to hold on to it. And there's no biting issue that I can point to that's going to decide that race. Ultimately, that's a race of personalities, I think, even more than issues. So, and then again, we're going to find other communities with other races that are going on that sort of, we didn't pay much attention to, and all of a sudden we find out that a particular issue that never came up to the surface became the deciding issue.
Jerry, let me ask you something. You've given us the lowdown on Long Beach, so I want to ask you about the campaigns. This has been some dirty campaigning that people have been complaining about. Some of the materials that have gone out, some of the accusations that have gone back and forth. And let's talk about the Suffolk County executive race. That's, Newsday has written about that. From your experience, do voters really pay attention to nasty? Or does nasty turn them on, or does nasty turn them off?
Joy, my reaction to that after 13 campaigns is that there is a point at which, when the voters open their mailbox, they take all the materials and put them right into the garbage can. And that just happened somewhere around the second week in October. So I think a lot of the political parties spend an awful amount of money, if you will, to flood your mailboxes with material, and people are turned off somewhere around the early part of October. I just don't think that those pieces don't count for very much anymore. And I think both parties make the mistake, if you will, of coming out with too many, if you will, unpleasant mailings that are sent out, when the fact of the matter is you can win elections if you have a candidate who goes out and runs a positive campaign. That's a rarity, but you can win an election that way.
Former State Assembly Jerry Kremer, thank you so much for your insight. He'll be with us all night. I want to send things over to Macy Eglin. Macy.
Hey guys, throughout the night, I'll be bringing you the latest results in the key races across Nassau and Suffolk. The polls closed about 45 minutes ago, so we do have some early results in some of the cases. You see, not quite yet for the Suffolk County executive race. This is Steve Ballone's seat, as we've mentioned to you. He is term limited, so we've got Democrat Dave Colon running against Republican Ed Romaine, who many of you know as the Brookhaven Town Supervisor. He has been in that role since 2012, so that seat is open. So right now, Republican Dan Panico, the deputy supervisor since 2012, is running to take over that seat against Democrat Lillian Clayman. She is a labor history educator. No results, still very early on in the night. For Islip Town Supervisor, Republican incumbent Angie Carpenter. She's been the supervisor there since 2015, hoping to secure another term against 27-year-old Democrat Ken Colon. Over in Hempstead, Republican incumbent Don Clavin seeking his third term. We do have some early results you can see on your screen right now for this race. Clavin running against Democrat Olena Nix. She is 30 years old. She's a financial analyst. She says she is a voice for the residents who feel underrepresented in Hempstead. This is a look at the latest results for the Town of North Hempstead supervisor, Republican incumbent Jennifer DeSena, hoping to secure a second term tonight. Right now, she is leading Democrat John Kamen, who's the former supervisor of North Hempstead. He held that role from 2004 to 2013. Currently, Kamen is the Suffolk Deputy County Executive. He has been in that seat since 2017. Over in Oyster Bay, Republican incumbent Joe Saladino is seeking his fourth term tonight, running against Democrat Jared Baer, who is a personal injury attorney. Looking good for Joe Saladino right now. This is a look at the Glen Cove mayor race. Republican incumbent Pamela Panzenbeck is seeking her second term, running against a name you might be familiar with. You probably are. Democrat George Maragos. That's the one thing that's different here. He is the former Nassau County Comptroller, and he was elected as a member of the Republican Party, now running for Glen Cove mayor as a Democrat. Let's take a look at the latest for your county legislatures. We begin in Suffolk County, District 1, Catherine Kent running against Catherine Stark. No early results in this one just yet, but we, of course, will keep an eye on it. Moving to District 2 in Suffolk County, this is the southeastern region of Suffolk, Southampton, East Hampton. We've got Republican Manny Villar running against Democrat Ann Welker for the 2nd District. In District 3, Republican incumbent James Mazzarella is seeking his second term, running against Democrat Thaddeus O'Neill, who is an associate adjunct professor and owns an apparel company, that is the south central portion of Suffolk County. In District 4, this is central Suffolk as well. Republican incumbent Nicholas Caracappa running against Democrat Timothy Hall, who really has not actively campaigned for the race. Over in District 5 for Suffolk County, Republican Anthony Figliola is running against Democrat Stephen Engelbright, who is a career politician, a 30-year member of the state assembly. District 5 is the North Shore of Suffolk, places like Stony Brook, Port Jefferson, and Setauket. No results, as you can see, in that race. And this one either. Again, it is still very early on in the night, just 9:48 now. Republican Chad Lennon in District 6 running against Democrat Dorothy Cavalier. This is the North Shore and Central Suffolk, Miller Place, Yaphank, Shoreham area. Moving to District 7 for Suffolk County, we've got Republican incumbent Dominic Thorne, who was elected in 2021, hoping to secure another term against Democrat Ryan McGarry. Over in District 8, Republican incumbent Anthony Piccirillo seeking his third term tonight against Democrat Heather Gallagher, who works in the theater and live entertainment industry. That is the South Shore, Bohemia, Sayville, and Holbrook area. So now let's move over to Nassau County and the race to become a legislator in District 1. This is Kevon Abraham's seat, the minority leader. So we've got Democrat Scott Davis and Republican Michael Lucchese. Some early results. Again, these are early, so things will certainly change. But right now you see Scott Davis has a pretty commanding lead. In District 2, Republican Karen Campbell is running against Democratic incumbent Sela Bino, who is seeking her 5th term. This is Central Nassau County. In District 2 for Nassau, Republican Sharier Ali is running against Democrat Carrier Solage, who was elected in 2021. A tight race here. I was just looking at the results for this one. They just updated. You see how close those votes are. We'll be keeping an eye on this and all the races for you tonight. In District 4, we've got Republican Patrick Mullaney running against Democrat Alexis Pace, who is a trustee on the Long Beach School Board. Mullaney is retired FDNY and a former Marine reservist. District 4 is in southern Nassau. District 5 is south central Nassau County. We've got Republican Joseph Baker running against Democrat Seth Koslow, who is an attorney. His first time running for elected office. Baker is a retired state court officer. In District 6, we have incumbent Democrat Deborah Muley, who is seeking her 4th term, running against Republican Benjamin Jackson. Deborah Muley looking pretty good for that 4th term. Let's get over to District 4 and these early voting results we're seeing right now. Democrat Tanvir Ahmed running against Republican incumbent Howard Coppell, who is the legislature's deputy presiding officer, seeking his 8th term, right now has a commanding lead. In Nassau's District 8, we've got Democrat Erica Rico running against Republican incumbent John Giuffre, seeking his 2nd term. District 8 is central western Nassau. Giuffre with the commanding lead in these early results of the night. And finally, Nassau County District 9, Democrat Niraj Kumar and Republican Scott Strauss both work in the health industry. District 9 is the central western portion of Nassau County. So that's the look at the latest results. We have a lot more races to cover. So I'll get back to you guys with more results in just a few minutes. Ken and Joy.
Thank you so much, Macy. Now, this is just the beginning of our Long Island Votes special election coverage here at Newsday TV. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back. Now, before we let you go, I just want to talk about these 2 propositions also on the ballot for Long Islanders. First, voters statewide will be asked to amend the state constitution to eliminate the debt limit amount that small school districts will be allowed to compile through borrowing. Now, the second prop asks voters to extend a provision in the state constitution that excludes municipality debt that accrues from construction or maintenance of sewer facilities from state-mandated debt limits. Now, if approved, the proposition would extend the debt exclusion until 2034. Now, remember, we'll be putting up result boards all night long. But you can also see all the races you're interested in by going to our interactive voters guide on Newsday.com. live at 10 o'clock, welcoming you back to Newsday TV's Long Island Votes election coverage. I'm Ken Bufa. Our team will be bringing you the latest results as they come in, with live reports from party headquarters in both counties and analysis of the local issues that are important to, of course, you. So let's kick things off in Patchogue, where Sherry Einhorn is at Suffolk GOP headquarters. Sherry.
There's a huge crowd here at Suffolk GOP headquarters. There, of course, behind the camera, you can see a couple of people on the camera. They've got the music blasting, they've got lights going, there are balloons, there are signs everywhere. The Republicans are hoping to win some key seats that will change the course of county government. A little earlier today, we spoke with former Congressman Lee Zeldin.
There's been this trend over the course of the last few years where not only you see Republicans voting Republican, but you see independents and blanks voting Republican, and you even see a number of Democrats who are voting Republican.
The GOP, as I mentioned, hoping to pick up some key seats. The top among them, county executive, also several town supervisor races. And while Republicans do currently have the majority in the county legislature, they're thinking if they can flip a seat or two, they will end up with a super majority. We haven't seen any of the candidates yet, but they are probably on their way or in the back. That's what they normally do. Once we see them, we'll get them on camera for you. That's the very latest here at Suffolk GOP headquarters, and I'm Sherry Einhorn. Ken, back to you.
Thank you so much, Sherry. Now, Democrats are hoping to take the top elected seat in Suffolk and make some inroads in the county legislature. Let's check in with Newsday TV's Drew Scott. Drew.
Tom's been, oh, sorry. I see Tom Donnelly looking over here. He's right, yep.
I hate this. These are the new way of listening to the control room.
Yep.
All right, we go over to Drew Scott in Holtsville. Drew, take it away.
Thank you, Ken. We're talking with the Suffolk legislator from the 6th District, Sarah Anker. And Sarah, your expiration date has arrived. 12 years have gone just like that. It's been an amazing number of years. You've done a lot of good things, right?
Yeah, oh my gosh. You know, it has been an absolute privilege to serve as a Suffolk County legislator. 1.5 million people in Suffolk County. It's larger than some of our states. And the amazing amount of resources from our senior services and vets, our environmental preservation, departments. It has just been an incredible experience. It's not for everyone because it is quite challenging, but it has just been a wonderful over 12 years because I got in during a special election in 2011.
What would you say was your greatest accomplishment? You've had many.
Thank you. Well, North Shore Rail Trail. Getting those kids off of Route 25A, a very dangerous highway, and creating a beautiful riding path, a pedestrian path. Working to try to reduce the opioid death rates and addiction, addiction prevention, support, and treatment. Working with our senior communities and helping them get the COVID vaccinations, helping them with energy efficiency. There's so many. I mean, environmental preservation, the parks, street safety. I mentioned I have Route 25A and Route 25, two of the most dangerous highways in the state of New York. And we got extra crossing guards. We've been able to get safety signage. But again, it's talking with the people. And the most important thing as a county legislator or any legislator is helping resolve concerns and issues. Yeah.
Sarah Anker, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for your years of service. Who would like to succeed you? Your chief assistant?
Chief of Staff, Dorothy Cavalier. She's been in my office for 4 years. She is on the front line of helping the folks with their issues, and she is amazing. So I'm hoping and praying that she'll get in. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sarah Anker. Appreciate it. 6th District. Now term limits are up, but maybe we'll see you again somewhere down the road.
Maybe.
All right. Back to you, Ken.
Chief Scott in Holtzville, thank you so much. Now let's cross the border and see what's happening at Nassau's GOP headquarters. NewsdayTV's Jill Wagner is in Baldwin. Jill.
Hey Ken, as you can see behind me, this room continues to get more and more crowded, and a lot of optimism here at the GOP headquarters in Baldwin. And I'm with one of the candidates now, Don Clavin, supervisor in Hempstead. You're up for re-election for a third term. The fact that you're out here means you must be feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, we're having a good feeling with our town team. I think we really connected with the voters. We talked about stable taxes, good finances, investing in our communities. And you know what? Hopefully we're going to be rewarded with re-election by everybody tonight.
You know, one of the things about Nassau County is that there are actually more registered Democrats, actually by a wide margin, by about 100,000. Why do you think it is that Republicans have been winning the past few years?
Yeah, it's a great question. I really believe people aren't choosing so much the party. I really think they're picking the candidate that they think has the right message, that they think are doing a good job, and are really set up with the ideals they are about suburbia, maintaining it, maintaining the affordability and the beauty that we have here. And that's why Republicans have that message, and I think that's why we've been successful.
I spoke to the GOP chair, Joye Brown, a few days ago, and he said it is about taxes and crime. Is that the type of thing that you're hearing from voters as well?
Yeah, the number one issue is always taxes. Number two is taxes as far as we're concerned. And you know what? We're doing our job in the town by either cutting them or maintaining them. And people are concerned about crime out here. And that's why we were successful with our DA candidate 2 years ago. And I think that message is still resonating with people. They're not choosing the party. They're choosing what they think are people that are really focusing on what's important to them. And I think the Republicans have been doing a good job of that messaging.
Your area includes the hub area. Of course, one of the big issues is there going to be a casino? What kind of redevelopment will happen there? Where do you stand on that?
You know what? We're very early in the process. The governor's got to make a decision. But what I tell residents are, under my tutelage, you're going to make sure it's going to be open, transparent, a lot of hearings, and we're going to get the input that every resident deserves. It's a major project. Something ultimately we built there. It's either going to be one project or the other, but we're going to make sure it's what the residents want and we do it the right way.
All right, and the other question on the mind, I know of a lot of our viewers right now, how long of a night do you think we're going to have tonight? When do you think we'll really start to get some results in?
I think you're going to start seeing results in the next hour. I think some of the races might go maybe even to the next couple of days. They're going to be that close, particularly up north. I have a lot of faith in Jen DeSena carrying in the team up there, but I think that's going to be a much later, if not a couple of days away.
All right, and we were talking a little bit before, for your position, that's every 2 years. So basically, you start your re-election campaign pretty soon.
You know what, I'm lucky. The residents have been kind to me. I also have a great support staff at home. My wife and my kids love it. They're into it. My 13-year-old daughter had 50 of her friends walking around with Clavin shirts yesterday at her school. So whatever it is, we're on board.
All right, well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us tonight. We really appreciate it. So Ken, a lot of excitement, a lot of optimism here, and potentially a very long night and maybe even a long few days until we know all of these results. That is what's happening here in Baldwin. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Jill. Now, so how are Nassau Democrats feeling about tonight's vote? Well, Virginia Huey is in Garden City with a look at the situation. Virginia.
Ken, one of the most closely watched, hotly contested races in Nassau is for Town of North Hempstead Supervisor. Incumbent Jen DeSena is facing a challenge from former Supervisor John Kamen, who joins me live right now. John, thank you for joining us. How are you feeling?
We're feeling pretty good. It's a very exciting evening. We know that the numbers are pretty close, but there's a lot of excitement out there, and we're so happy to be part of it. We expect good things.
You're hoping to make a comeback. What will you bring to the residents if you're elected back into office?
You know, I think I bring a great deal of experience and some perspective. I think that there's a polarized kind of context that we're working within right now, not just nationally, but locally. And I think what I could do is bring our government together again, get things done. I think it's pretty stagnant these days. I'd like to be able to bring some excitement, some energy, and some results back to the town of North Hempstead.
When you were campaigning, what message were you sending out to the voters out there?
You know, just that, experience matters. These are challenging times, and we can't just go with simple slogans or easy political solutions to really complex problems. And I think people want somebody they can believe in, somebody they can count on. You know, the issues that are important. People want to know that we're going to keep them safe, that we're going to manage their money, that we're going to protect the investment in their homes and their community. And I have a history of doing that. And so we talked about what I've done in the past and how I've developed the skills to continue to do that in the future. And I think that's it's a message that resonated with a lot of the voters that we spoke with.
And looking around the room, they're very excited for your prospects. People are coming up to you, talking
Yes.
to you, wishing you the best of luck. How are you feeling about that?
You know, I think there's a new energy in the Democratic Party. There's been a malaise over the last couple of years. We've not had great turnout. We know that, or I believe that more Democrats voted in the town of North Hempstead than Republicans, so that's a pretty good sign. That shows that we're back. Democrats are engaged, we're participating, we care, we believe again. There's a lot of other factors that go into who wins and who loses, though, so we have to wait until the votes are counted. But I do think that there is excitement amongst Democrats that we're back in the mix, and we hope good things at the end of the night.
Thank you very much, John, for joining us. Best of luck to you. All right, and you can see it from the back right here. The room is definitely filled up. There's great excitement here and optimism, and we will be here to bring you the very latest throughout the evening. For now, in Garden City, I'm Virginia Huey for Newsday TV.
I'm Macy Eglund, back to take you through the latest election results. I'm noticing a trend already pretty early in the night. Polls closed about an hour and 12 minutes ago. We do have some early results from Nassau County, really nothing in Suffolk County right now. But we do begin with the Town of Riverhead supervisor. You see, nothing has come in just yet for Democrat Angela DeVito and Republican Tim Hubbard. Moving on to Shelter Island supervisor. This is an open seat, as was Riverhead. This is Jerry Siller's seat. So Arnott Gooding, the Democratic candidate here, beat Jerry Siller in the Democratic primary. So he is running against Republican Amber Brock Williams, who has served 2 terms on the town board. Southampton supervisor, also an open seat. Jay Schneiderman has hit his term limit. So we've got Democrat Maria Moore running against Republican Cynthia McNamara for this seat. Over in East Hampton, another open seat. Peter Van Scoyoc is retiring. Democrat Kathy Burt Gonzalez, the deputy supervisor, is hoping to take over the role, running against Republican Greta Leone. This is her first bid for public office. Greta works for a landscaping company. Let's move over to Southold now. Supervisor there, another open seat. Scott Russell has been the supervisor since 2005. He is not running. We've got Democrat Albert Krupski running against Republican Donald Grimm. Now for the latest look at the legislatures in both county. We begin in Suffolk County. Again, no results here. This is for the 9th district. We've got Democrat Samuel Gonzalez running against Teresa Bryant. Moving over to District 10. This is the South Shore, Central Islip, Islandia, Ronkonkoma. Republican Trish Bergen Whitebrook, the incumbent here looking for a second term, facing off against Democrat Derek Stein. District 11, Republican incumbent Stephen Flodderin is seeking his 4th term tonight, running against Democrat Lucas Deitch. In District 12 of Suffolk County, Central Suffolk, Comac, Lake Grove, Nesconset, Hauppauge, Leslie Kennedy, the incumbent, the Republican, seeking her 4th term, running against Democrat Dennis Graziano, who works for the Suffolk OTB. District 13, Rob Trotta, the Republican here, running for his 6th term unopposed. In Suffolk's District 14, we've got Republican incumbent Kevin McCaffrey running for another term. He has served as presiding officer of the county legislature. He's been a legislator since 2014. He's running against Democrat Edward Buturla. District 15 for Suffolk County, Democrat incumbent Jason Richburg. He was elected in 2020, hoping to secure another term against Republican Richard Felix. It's his first time running for office. Felix is a lawyer. Moving to District 16, Republican incumbent Manny Esteban is running for a 2nd term against Democrat Rebecca Sannon, who ran for Huntington Town Supervisor back in 2021. District 16 is North Central Suffolk, Huntington Station, Elwood area. District 17 for Suffolk, Democrat incumbent Tom Donnelly, who was elected in 2017, is seeking his 4th term, running against Republican Catherine Corella, who's been involved with the Deer Park Chamber of Commerce. And finally, for Suffolk County, District 18, Democrat Eve Meltzer-Creef running against Republican incumbent Stephanie Bontempi, who is seeking her 2nd term. Let's move over to Nassau's legislature now. So we will have some very early results in these Nassau races. This is a look at the 10th district. We've got Democrat Weiwa Yan and Republican Mazi Philip. Mazi seeking her second term in this race. District 10 is the northwestern border of Nassau County. Let's move to District 11. Republican John Stalzer running against Democrat incumbent Delia DeRigi Witten. She is has held this seat for a long time. She's seeking her seventh term for District 11. District 12 for Nassau County, we've got Democrat Matthew Pasternak running against the Republican incumbent Michael Jean Gregorio. You see Jean Gregorio with a commanding lead. This is in eastern Nassau. Moving on to District 13, central eastern Nassau County. We've got Republican Thomas McKevitt seeking his fourth term. He is the incumbent in this race, running against Democrat Bijou Chaco, who works at Northwell Health in respiratory therapy. Let's take a look at these early results in District 14. Republican C. William Gaylor, the incumbent, seeking his fifth term against 28-year-old Democrat Jake Shiner, who is the vice president of an insurance company and was a campaign manager for Representative Tom Suozzi. District 15, this is central eastern Nassau County. Republican incumbent John Ferretti is hoping to secure his fourth term tonight. He's got a commanding lead over Democrat challenger 31-year-old Matthew Malin. Moving to District 16 in Nassau County, Democrat incumbent Arnold Drucker hoping to secure a Republican challenger James Asmus in these early results. In District 17, Raja Singh, the Democrat, he is an attorney and small business owner, taking on longtime incumbent Republican Rosemary Walker, who is running for her eighth term this year. That is north central Nassau County. District 18 of Nassau County, a young race here. We've got the Democrat incumbent Josh Lapizan seeking his fourth term, 29 years old, running against 34-year-old Republican Samantha Gates, who is Nassau's deputy county attorney. This is the northeastern border of Nassau County. Lapizan also running for Congress, George Santos's position. And finally, District 19 in Nassau County, we've got Democrat Nicholas Pissarro running against Republican James Kennedy, who is a former legislator in the 12th district. That is a look at the latest results. Again, for some of the races we are watching very closely. I'll be back with more results for you in a bit. Ken and Joy.
That is a lot. Thank you so much, Macy. So, Joy, let's talk about how quickly we could get results this year, because I know that was an issue last year. So what have you heard?
Well, I'm looking at the lack of Suffolk County results, and I'm thinking a couple of things. Now, we know that last year we didn't get a lot of results until after midnight because there were some issues, right? And what the issues are, we don't need to go into. But I do want to point out that Newsday wrote a story that said that Suffolk County was not going to have those same issues. And in that story, a Suffolk County Board of Elections official said, we're going to beat Nassau. So that's the challenge, Suffolk. Beat Nassau. Nassau's beating you right now.
And how are they doing right now?
Right now, from what we see,
not too good.
But the night is young. Come on.
The night is young.
Come on, Suffolk.
So tell us about the bragging rights over in Nassau. So, because I know you have something going on there. What are the bragging rights?
So look, Nassau County, you can see excitement at Republican headquarters, right? And we've heard from Jay Jacobs and we've heard from Joe Cairo. But here's the other thing. Joe Cairo, if it's another red thing, that's really good for him, because guess what?
What's that?
He recently joined the National Republican Party Committee.
That sounds familiar.
Right? So he's the county leader. He's also he's gone up with the big boys now.
That's right.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the Democratic Nassau County political leader, Jay Jacobs, he is a member of the National Democratic Party Committee. And these positions become, nobody's going to pay much attention to them right now, which is why they're bragging rights. But everybody's going to be paying attention to them next year when we get to the congressional and the presidential races.
That's right. This is the type of analysis you're only going to get on Newsday TV, by the way. And this is the kind of political experts we have for you, because joining us now for more on what we're seeing, former State Assembly Jerry Kremer. And Jerry, how do you contrast the style of the two candidates for Ellis County Executive?
Well, it's really very interesting. Ed Romaine is a longtime office holder. And so he has, number one, the benefit of name recognition. and he has the ability to use that instant name recognition wherever he goes in the county. So Dave Cologne, who is a newcomer by all standards, has to go introduce himself, get known, be out there to meet a lot of people. It's hard to figure out what his complete campaign styling is like, because politics is a retail business. You have to go literally door to door, supermarket to supermarket, bowling alley to bowling alley, railroad station to rail station to make yourself effective. And the question between the two is, Ed Romaine doesn't have to do so many of those traditional things compared to what Dave Cologne has to do. The results tonight clearly will tell us, if you will, whose style of campaigning was the best. But Cologne has to be the aggressive one, has to be the one out there who generally is willing to do, getting the dirt under your fingernails type of campaigning, whereas Ed Romaine has the ability, personality-wise, is that he can sort of be above the fray and say, I've been a county clerk, I've been a town supervisor, you all know me. And in the case of Cologne, he has to basically say, hey, I'm brand new, and this is what I stand for. So the question is whether Dave Cologne can meet the same level, if you will, of what Romaine has going for him. It's a difficult hurdle. So the newcomer always has that problem against an incumbent. And I knew enough newcomers who challenged me when I was an incumbent, and the newcomer has their work cut out for them. So whether Cologne is that retail candidate who can pull it off, we'll find out later tonight. Ed Romaine, on the other hand, calm, relaxed, you know me, I'm your neighbor, I've served you in so many capacities. He's got an easier lift than the newcomer, who really has to lead a charge in order to get known and then figure out how to get people to the polls.
Jerry, let me ask you, a lot of money being spent on both these campaigns. Why so much money, and does that much money really make a difference?
Well, the kind of money that's being spent, Joe, that's a fascinating question. The way money used to be spent, they're still spending it on mailers, but a tremendous amount of money today is going to something that nobody talks about and very few people see, and that is, number one, using social media to the maximum extent possible. And believe me, there are ways that social media can be used that none of us can imagine who are viewing this tonight. In addition, there's a new use of statistics in ways that were never used before, and the candidates are paying for it. They, once upon a time, might know something about a particular block and a particular family, but today you can buy material that tells you whether a family likes to watch Western movies, whether they like Chinese food on Sunday night, what their favorite movies are. What colleges their kids are going to. So this is the kind of material that can be purchased by political campaigns, which helps them make decisions down the line as to where are we going to send certain types of mailings to. What type of group are we going to appeal to as the one who will be most interested in our message? So today you're paying for a high level of political sophistication that you were not paying for years ago.
Jerry Kremer, thank you so much for your input and analysis. Now, make sure you stay with Newsday TV for live election night coverage and up-to-minute results on the races all across Long Island. Of course, you can also get the info you need by going to our voters guide on Newsday.com. We will be right back. It is 10:41 p.m. and welcome to Newsday TV's Long Island Votes election coverage. I'm Ken Buffa. Tonight, our team will be bringing you election results as they come in and live reports from party headquarters in both counties. And of course, we'll be diving into local issues important to Long Islanders. Our studio team includes Macy Eglin, who'll be keeping you up to date on the latest numbers as they come in, and Newsday columnist Joye Brown, along with political analyst Jerry Kremer, who'll be looking at the races and the issues motivating voters. Out in the field, Virginia Huey will be camped out at Nassau Democratic headquarters in Garden City. Jill Wagner will be at the Republican Party headquarters in Baldwin. Over in Suffolk, we have Drew Scott with Democrats in Holtsville and Sherry Einhorn with Suffolk Republicans in Patchogue. And of course, we have the entire Newsday newsroom working on covering every angle of this election for you. So let's begin with our live coverage with Sherry Einhorn. Good evening.
Good evening, Ken. We have a huge crowd here. The music was cranking, and we do have people on the podium, on the stage at the podium. We had Suffolk GOP Chairman Jesse Garcia. We have former Congressman Lee Zeldin, both of them saying they were hoping to be able to announce results in a couple of minutes. While we wait for that, though, listen to what Jesse Garcia told us earlier today about the GOP getting the message out to get voters to the polls.
We've had a lot of energy out there. We've been going at this since about 5 o'clock this morning. All day, I think we've had about 1,100 volunteers going door to door, doing signs, making tens of thousands of phone calls to registered voters. And what we've been seeing has been a strong presence of Republican votes coming out.
Now, we have been told that the candidates are in the building. I can actually see a whole bunch of people waiting in the wings on the side of the stage. Again, we've got former Congressman Lee Zeldin rallying the troops right now, and they're hoping to be able to announce some results in the next couple of minutes. That's the very latest from Suffolk GOP headquarters in Patchogue. I'm Sherry Einhorn. Ken.
Thanks so much, Sherry. Now, Democrats are hoping to retain the county executive seat in Suffolk. NewsdayTV's Drew Scott is at their headquarters in Holtsville. Drew.
Ken, of course, the crowd here cheered a little bit as some of the early numbers came in. You can hear some of the cheering behind us. Not up for re-election this year or next year is our Suffolk County Sheriff Errol Toulon. And the Sheriff, people don't realize the important work that the Sheriff's Department does in making sure that this is a flawless election day throughout Suffolk County, right?
That's correct. And our deputy sheriffs are assigned to polling places, specifically on the East End. And they're there to ensure that there's no issues going on. And if there are, the polling volunteers can actually go to the deputy sheriff to have for some resolution.
So our returns are in your good hands, and they make sure everything is on the up and up.
That's correct, and they'll make sure that they're delivered to the proper place and that we can have election results with no issues.
We appreciate that very much, Sheriff Toulon. Thank you so much. You still doing work with youth and hockey?
Yes, we're trying to do as much as we can with the youth to make sure that there's no bad choices and they can see good role models within the Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, sure appreciate it. Well, thank you so much for talking to us today. And of course, Ken, we're looking at the county executive's race. Dave Colon is hoping to succeed Steve Bellone, who has been termed out now after 12 years. And of course, the entire legislature is up for re-election, along with 7 of the town supervisors throughout Suffolk. That's it from here. Drew Scott, Newsday TV. Back to you, Ken.
All right, Drew, thank you so much. Now let's head to Nassau County. Newsday TV's Jill Wagner is at Republican headquarters in Baldwin. Jill.
Ken, definitely a lot of excitement here at the GOP headquarters in Baldwin. You can see behind me. It is not a lot of room here. Definitely getting quite crowded. And I am with one of the candidates right now, Joe Saladino, who's the town of Oyster Bay supervisor. So you're out here, which means you must be feeling pretty good about tonight.
The room is packed to the gills. It's not only volunteers and political people. their friends, neighbors, everybody wants to be part of this train because it's going in the right direction. We have a common sense approach in the Republican Party, and that's why things are looking good for the town of Hempstead, the town of Oyster Bay, Nassau legislature. Very good candidates and a very good message. But it's more than just that. The public is also upset at everything they're seeing around them. They're seeing strife and division in our country, and they want a common sense approach that ends that. They see issues abroad in Israel, and they want a better response from our leaders. But it's also protecting taxpayers, providing great services, and protecting suburbia against housing initiatives that would take suburban life away on Long Island. And the Republican Party is delivering that common sense approach. The room is filled, the electorate have come out, and I wish the best of luck to all my colleagues because they've all, across Nassau County, town of Hempstead, town of North Hempstead with Jen DeSena, and in the legislature, provided good, responsive government. And certainly it's what Long Islanders want because they're coming out in droves to support our initiatives. And I really appreciate the fact that the town of Oyster Bay residents feel so strongly about our team. Thank you.
All right, well, Supervisor, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. As you just heard, tons of excitement here as we are waiting for these results to start coming in. That is what is happening here. Back to you guys in the studio. Ken?
Joe Wagner in Baldwin. Thank you so much, Joe. Now, Democrats are hoping to eat away at the GOP majority in the Nassau legislature. NewsdayTV's Virginia Huey is with Democrats in Garden City, Virginia.
Ken, one of the most closely watched races in Nassau is for Town of Hempstead Supervisor. Incumbent Don Clavin is facing a challenge by Olena Nix of Uniondale. And Olena joins me now, live right now. Talk to me about why you want the top job in the town of Hempstead and what motivated you to run.
Absolutely. I was really frustrated seeing that our residents within the town of Hempstead were continuously being ignored, and we ultimately saw that with the redistricting process, when from the lack of transparency that there was with the hearings, all the way to the ultimate result where hundreds of residents came out and asked for their districts to be kept whole, and that didn't happen. And I realized at that point that our residents really needed something more. They needed a change, and we have to break up the echo chamber that's happening within the town of Hempstead.
And when you were campaigning, what was your message to the residents? I mean, what do you hope to bring to the table in the town of Hempstead?
Absolutely. My biggest hope is a plan. So when we look at housing, the town of Hempstead doesn't have a housing plan currently. So we need to be able to build that plan if we're even going to address the deficits that we're facing. You know, so many residents are facing a cost of living issue, and there is no plan to bring them relief. There is no plan to bring them housing. So you can't say you're going to address it without a plan.
And in last year's election, we saw a so-called red wave take over at Long Island. Are you concerned at all this time around?
Absolutely not. We had a very strong ticket, you know, really great candidates who were community oriented, but also they had the experience to get the job done. So we are really excited tonight. We can't wait for the results to come in, and here we are.
Thank you so much for joining us. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
And as you can hear and see behind me, this room is getting more and more crowded. There's a lot of excitement and optimism here, and that is all for now. In Garden City, I'm Virginia Huey for Newsday TV.
I'm Macy Eglund back with the latest election results, and we now have some early results from Nassau County and Suffolk County. The race many people are watching tonight for Suffolk County Executive, with 8% of precincts reporting. So again, very early on, Ed Romaine is leading Dave Colon in the Suffolk County Executive race. Of course, We're still waiting on many precincts to report, but right now that is the latest result in that race. So Ed Romaine was Brookhaven Town Supervisor. That's an open seat. Republican Dan Panico is the Deputy Supervisor. He is hoping to take over that lead role in Brookhaven, running against Democrat Lillian Clayman. And right now Panico does have a pretty commanding lead. Let's head over to Islip Supervisor now. Republican Angie Carpenter has been the supervisor there since 2015. She's got a big lead over 27-year-old Democrat Ken Colon. Over in Hempstead, so this is Democrat Olena Nix, who you just heard from with Virginia Huey, running against Republican incumbent Don Clavin. He is seeking his third term and does have a commanding lead over Olena Nix right now. In North Hempstead, Republican Jennifer DeSena is hoping to secure her second term tonight, running against the former supervisor of North Hempstead, John Kamen, the Democrat. He held the role from 2004 to 2013. Right now, it looks like DeSena is in the lead right now early on in the night. Republican Joe Saladino, the incumbent for Oyster Bay Town Supervisor, seeking his fourth term, running against Democrat Jared Baer. Heading over to Glen Cove Mayor right now, Republican Pamela Panzenbeck looking to secure her second term, running against Democrat George Maragos, the former Nassau County Comptroller. He was elected as a member of the Republican Party, now running for Glen Cove Mayor as a Democrat. Let's talk about your legislatures in both counties now. Again, we do have some results coming in, early results for Suffolk County. This is a look at District 1 with 4% of the precincts reporting. We've got Democrat Catherine Kent running against Republican Catherine Stark. Kent has a lead in this one right now. Moving over to District 2, this is southeastern Suffolk, Southampton, East Hampton. Republican Manny Villar running against Ann Welker, the Democrat, with a commanding lead right now. District 3, Republican incumbent Jim Mazzarella is seeking his second term. He's got a commanding lead over his challenger, Democrat Thaddeus O'Neill. In District 4 for Suffolk County, this is central Suffolk County. Incumbent Nicholas Caracappa, the Republican, is looking to secure another term tonight. District 5 for Suffolk County, Democrat Stephen Engelbright, a career politician. He was a 30-year member of the state assembly, now looking for a more local role, part of the legislature for Suffolk County, running against Republican Anthony Figliola. This is the North Shore, Stony Brook, Port Jeff, Setauket area. Engelbright with a commanding lead. District 6 now, North Shore and Central Suffolk, places like Miller Place, Yaphank, Shoreham. We've got Republican Chad Lennon with a commanding lead right now over Democrat Dorothy Cavalier. Moving to District 7, Democrat Ryan McGarry taking on Republican incumbent Dominic Thorne. Look at this race right now. Again, we've only got 13% of precincts reporting, a very tight race for District 7 in Suffolk County. In District 8 for Suffolk, we've got Republican incumbent Anthony Piccirillo with a commanding lead. He is seeking his third term, running against Democrat Heather Gallagher. So that's Suffolk. We've got some results for them. We've already had some early results for Nassau County, so let's check back in on those, see if there have been any changes. Nassau County District 1, this is Kevon Abraham's seat, the minority leader. We've got Democrat Scott Davis with a lead over Republican Michael Lucchese right now. Moving to District 2 for Nassau County, Republican Karen Campbell is taking on the Democratic incumbent Sela Bino, seeking her fifth term this year. She has a commanding lead. In District 3 of Nassau, this is the western border of Nassau County. Democratic incumbent Carrier Solage leading this one right now. He was elected in 2011. Republican Shariar Ali is in the race with him. He's a deputy Nassau County attorney. This is District 4 for Nassau County. Democrat Alexis Pace running against Republican Patrick Mullaney. This is southern Nassau County. Moving to District 5, let's look at the latest results here. Early results, Republican Joseph Baker running against Democrat Seth Koslow. Right now, Koslow is in the lead. Heading over to District 6 for Nassau County, Democrat incumbent Deborah Muley with a commanding lead, seeking her fourth term tonight, running against Republican Benjamin Jackson. And in District 7, southwestern border of Nassau County here, Republican incumbent Howard Coppell, longtime incumbent there, with a commanding lead. He is seeking his eighth term, the legislature's deputy presiding officer, running against Democrat Tanvir Ahmed. In District 8 for Nassau County, Democrat Erica Rico taking on Republican John Drafay who is hoping to secure his second term. That is Central Western Nassau County. And finally, District 9, Central Western portion of the county as well. We have Democrat Niraj Kumar for the 9th District. If we can get these latest results, there's the latest. We're running against Republican Scott Strauss, who has a commanding lead in that race as well. So that's the latest. We have more races for you to get you updated on, Ken, but for now, I'll send it back to you.
It's a lot of numbers. Thank you so much, Macy, for breaking that all down. Now, remember, we'll be putting up result boards all night, but you can also see all the races by going to our interactive voters guide on Newsday.com. Welcome back to Newsday TV's Long Island voters election coverage. Right now, we're going to go to State Democratic Party Chair J.J. Abrams, where he's speaking right now.
I want to thank all of you who went out, knocked on doors, made phone calls, stood at the train stations, did the visibility, draw out the vote, as you always do, and got all these candidates on the ballot by getting those petitions signed and done. So thank you all, everybody. It's going to be a long night, probably into the morning, and enjoy yourselves tonight. Scott Davis is the best. Okay, thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
That was State Democratic Party Chair J.J. Abrams. I am Ken Bufa. Our team will be bringing you the latest results as they come in with live reports from party headquarters in both counties and analysis of the local issues that are important, of course, to you. So let's kick things off in Patchogue, where Sherry Einhorn is at Suffolk GOP headquarters. Sherry.
Neil Foley, Karen Dunn.
Hold the leg. Chad, hold the leg.
As you can see, we are waiting for a speech right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think you can see, this is an outstanding team. We see that our county executive is running at about 57%. But I will tell you, that all starts from my hometown. It all starts from all of our hometown. Ladies and gentlemen, we have some big shoes to fill in Brookhaven, but we have the man that's able to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce to you the new supervisor-elect, and now, maybe we'll start with Lou Marcosia first. Ladies and gentlemen, he's my dear friend. He's a dear friend to everyone here. He's a dear friend to all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, soon to be the 71st supervisor in the history of the town of Brookhaven with 63% of the vote, Dan Panico. Hey, John, buddy.
Well, thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Chairman Jesse Garcia, Chairman Torres, to my wife, Deanna, my son, Grant, my daughter, Brooke, who's sleeping, to my entire campaign team, Mike, Trish, Sam, Krista, Melinda, Melissa, all of you, everyone who carried the petitions, who gave us the opportunity to govern, and who brought these amazing numbers home tonight. We do what we do because of all of you, and I want to thank everyone who supported me, CSEA, AME, all of the members of law enforcement. Ladies and gentlemen, what we won tonight is the right to govern. And with that right comes a tremendous responsibility, and that is to govern correctly. And I am blessed to have been reelected with an excellent team on this town board who cares about the suburban issues in this town. And I really want to introduce them. The first member who's not here tonight because she's not feeling well, the longest serving member of the town board, Jane, I know you're home. We're pulling for you. Jane Bonner, reelected by tremendous numbers. In the 3rd district, our freshman, Neil Manzello, reelected overwhelmingly. Our good friend from the 4th district, who wears jackets befitting Wink Martindale, Michael Guercio. A truly caring and accomplished councilman from the 5th district, overwhelmingly reelected tonight, Neil Foley. And the woman who is going to succeed me on the town board, who received the highest percentage of any council person tonight, Karen Kesnick-Dunn. Our highway superintendent, re-elected at overwhelming numbers, a man who gets the job done for the residents of Brookhaven, Dan LaSquadro. And our tax receiver, he doesn't set them, he only collects them, Lou Marcosia. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your Brookhaven team. We know what our mandate is. We are going to govern correctly. We are going to be bold in our initiatives. This is a new day in the town of Brookhaven. I am proud to be the supervisor. I thank all of the voters. Whether you voted for me or not, the overwhelming vast majority, thankfully, did vote for me. I am going to govern for everyone in this town. And as Republicans, we are going to go out and work exceedingly hard into areas that historically are not Republican areas. We are going to make major inroads throughout this entire town and govern correctly. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you so very much. I'm going to turn it back over to our great chairman, Jesse Garcia.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're watching a tough race. It's closing in. Let's acknowledge Gary Brodenberg in the 1st District as that race with Figliola gets tighter. I'm going to ask these council people and these elected officials to say a few words. First, as Danny pointed out, our town-wide races, an outstanding man who runs the 3rd largest Department of Public Works in the state of New York, Dan LaSquadro.
Thank you, Jesse, and thank you to all of you. You know, we showed for the past 11 years what Republican governance can deliver here in the town of Brookhaven, and I am so proud.
Now, you just heard from Town of Brookhaven Supervisor candidate Danny Panico. What are your thoughts on what you heard?
Well, Brookhaven stays in Republican hands, and it looks like Republicans also keep a majority on the town board there. You know, it's interesting because when we're looking at results that are coming from the board, from the boards of elections, right? But party leaders know those results before we get them from the boards of elections, and you probably already knew this, but boards of elections, half Democrat, half Republican, so they have a pretty good handle on things that are going there. Jesse Garcia seems to really, really excited and happy. He sort of very quickly went over the county executive race saying, basically, our dude's in the lead.
Yeah.
But Panico is the first Suffolk winner, town winner for the night, and we'll have to see how the other 5 towns in Suffolk go.
There's still a lot of race left, and like you said, he just said he's in the lead. It's not yet done. It is not yet done. It's a very close race there.
Trying to figure this out. And the other thing I want you to sort of keep in mind is anything that you see tonight, these are unofficial results because they haven't counted the absentee ballots. And elections are usually certified weeks down the line. So kind of keep that in mind. Some of these races, it's going to look like there's a winner. The absentee ballots could make it up. The other person we just saw, though, was Jay Jacobs. And Jay Jacobs was giving the thanking everybody for coming out kind of speech, which you usually hear from somebody that, when the party's not doing so great. But he said it's going to be a long night. He didn't tell us what it was going to be a long night about. But based on the interviews that we've been getting from Democratic Party headquarters, looks like he may be talking about the town of North Hempstead.
Yeah, that's a very, very close race still. And that's one of the hot ones we've been talking about all night long. But when it comes to Brookhaven, I mean, getting that position is not going to be easy because there's a lot of issues that the residents there are concerned about, the landfill revenue, and of course that Newsday investigative report that perhaps toxic ash was dumped there. So it is a win right now, what it seems like for Panico. But what does he have in store once he walks in?
He's got the largest town by geography in the United States of America.
You fit NASA on it.
But he's also got, he's coming behind Ed Romaine.
Yeah.
And Ed Romaine kind of ran a, by the books town over
Policy
there.
man, he kept
policy
saying.
dude, right? Politics dude, but policy dude too. So he kind of knows what the town wants and what the town needs. And also, he said, we're going to come in, we're going to be bold, we've got some ideas. So he's making promises. And trust me, people in Brookhaven will make sure he keeps them.
Wow. Joye, it's always a pleasure. So, Democrats are hoping to take the top elected seat in Suffolk, still a close race. And before we talk about what's going to happen next, let's just see where the numbers are right now. So let's take things over to Macy Eglin. And Macy, let's take a look at those boards.
Hey guys, let's begin in Riverhead for the Riverhead Town Supervisor. This is Yvette Aguiar's position. She is not running again. So we've got Democrat Angela DeVito running against Republican Timothy Hubbard with 64% of the precincts reporting. Timothy Hubbard has a pretty substantial lead in this race right now. In Shelter Island, another open seat here. This is Jerry Siller's seat. He was actually beat out by one of the candidates here, Arnott Gooding. Beat the incumbent Jerry Siller during the Democratic primary. So he is running and currently winning against Republican challenger Amber Brock Williams. Over in Southampton, another open seat. Jay Schneiderman has hit his term limit. So we've got Democrat Maria Moore and Republican Cynthia McNamara. Right now, Moore is winning with 55% of the precincts reporting. Over in East Hampton, yet another open seat here, the East End, a lot of them. This is Peter Van Scoyek's seat. He is retiring. The deputy supervisor, Kathy Burke-Gonzalez, is running for the role, the Democrat here, and she has a pretty substantial lead against challenger Republican Greta Leone with 42% of the precincts reporting. Again, a lot of these very early results. You see here with Southold, just 16% of the precincts reporting. Right now, we've got Democrat Albert Krupski and Republican Donald Grimm battling it out for this one. Let's talk about your legislatures now. We begin in Suffolk County with the 9th District, 17% of precincts reporting in this one. We've got Democrat Samuel Gonzalez running against Republican Teresa Bryant. Samuel Gonzalez is the incumbent in this race and right now is in the lead. Let's taking a look at Suffolk County District 10 here. This is the South Shore, Central Islip, Islandia, Ronkonkoma area. Republican incumbent Trish Bergen Whitebroad is seeking her second term, and she is leading Democrat Derek Stein right now with 28% of the precincts reporting. In District 11, this is the South Shore, West Islip, Brightwaters region. Republican Stephen Flotteron seeking his fourth term against Lucas Deitch, the Democrat right now. Flotteron does have a substantial lead with 62% of the precincts reporting. Here are the results right now for District 12. Republican Leslie Kennedy trying to secure her fourth term, and she's got a pretty good lead over Democrat Dennis Graziano with 28% of the precincts reporting. This one's looking pretty good, this next one, District 13. That's because it's Republican Rob Trotta who is running unopposed. So he will be securing his sixth term for District 13. District 14, this is the South Shore, Lindenhurst, Copeg area of Suffolk County. We've got Democrat Edward Buturla running against Republican Kevin McCaffrey, the incumbent here with a pretty substantial lead. Let's get back over to Ken and Joy at the desk right now.
Thank you so much, Macy. Now we want to go out to Joe Cairo, who is speaking right now.
Great big time tonight. Thank you very much.
Let's hear for the three victorious city councilmen. Brendan Fitz.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We appreciate your support, Jimmy Moriarty's support. I have to say, the people we ran against, they talked about machine politics, and they talked about party bosses. We have the two best guys, the chairman and Jimmy. Integrity, real integrity. And that's why we won, because we have a great team. So thank you very much.
Guys, I want to say a very, very, very big thank you to everybody in the city of Long Beach. Everybody told us when we started out to do this that there was no chance we could win, that Long Beach is a very democratic town. We showed them all very different by winning by a landslide. A landslide in Long Beach is usually a couple hundred votes. I think we won by 800 to 1,000. So thank you very much. Thank you.
And just to reiterate what these guys said, we ran as a team. The people we were running against, they wouldn't even sit together at events. We have become a team. I love these guys like brothers, and thank you so much for all your support. Thank you.
All right, now we want to go to Suffolk County Democratic Chairman Richie Schaefer.
Let me tell you something. He was able to raise over $3.5 to $4 million to put into this coordinated campaign. He has worked for the last 18 months delivering his message from Montauk to Melville. He has been extremely dedicated to all of our legislative and town campaigns throughout 2023. And let me tell you something. We have not heard the last of Dave Cologne. I want to bring up our candidate, Dave Cologne.
Thank you all. Thank you all for being here. Look, this is part of democracy, right? The people get to choose. We all took part in that today. And I want to thank the people of Suffolk County because for the last year, I've had a chance to visit with you, your families from one end of this county to the other, North Shore to South Shore, east to west, and hear your stories and your ideas and the issues you're facing. And I am so proud of the ticket we put together. And I am proud of the ideas we put together. We put together a Suffolk Forward agenda. It was more than 40 pages long. I encourage you, it's late tonight. Don't read it tonight, you'll fall right asleep. But seriously, we put together an agenda because we believe that we can solve the issues of Suffolk County, issues of safety, affordability, opportunity. And we're not going to get a chance to work on that agenda right now. But I do suggest it to others. I had a chance to call my opponent, Ed Romaine, and congratulate him on his victory. And I wish him well as the next Suffolk County executive. His success will be our success in Suffolk County. So let's all work together. Because at the end of the day, local government isn't about left or right. It's about how do we move our region forward. It's about how do we work together to solve the issues that we're facing. But I want to celebrate a little bit the campaign that we built here together. We knocked on over 200,000 doors. We made nearly 1 million voter contacts. We put out, as I mentioned, 40 pages of policies. None of that gets accomplished alone. We've had an amazing team with countless people involved. And so let me just thank a few of those, many of them who are in the room tonight. I want to thank my running mates for the legislature, the town council, the supervisors, many of you out there tonight. Congratulations on a great job well done. We ran a unified campaign, a coordinated campaign, and I am honored to have been on the ticket with all of you. To the Democratic Party here in Suffolk County, thank you all for working hand in hand with me over this last year as we built this campaign. Your energy, enthusiasm, and most importantly, your idealism are what we need going forward. To Rich Schaefer, our chairman, led us to put together a great team, to work hard, to get out there and share our vision with the people of Suffolk County. And I want to particularly congratulate Team Schaefer on a clean sweep in Babylon tonight. To our Suffolk County staff, Keith, Allie, Amanda, thank you for all that you do to work together for all of us as candidates.
To our town chairs and our committee people, you are the heartbeat of democracy. Keep beating, keep going. I want to thank our current county executive, Steve Bellone. I want to thank him for his mentorship, for his encouragement, for his help and his support. And most importantly, I want to thank him for 12 incredible years of being our county executive. He has led the way to fight corruption. He has helped government improve the lives of people, our taxpayers, our businesses, our families, and I want to see his legacy preserved and protected, and it's up to all of us to work with the new county executive to do just that. To the thousands of people who volunteered for our campaign, who contributed to this campaign, contributed your time and your resources, thank you. I can't even express how much it means to me. I want to particularly thank our friends at Organized Labor who are here, who've been with me, knocking on doors, activating members. Thank you to them. To my dear friend John Durso and the Long Island Federation of Labor, the painters and the Allied Tradesmen of DC9, the healthcare workers of 1199 and 32 BJ SEIU. The frontline workers of RWDSU 338 and 1102, the municipal workers of CSEA, the iron workers of 361, and to our hosts here tonight, the IBW 1049.
That is the Democratic candidate, Suffolk County Executive candidate consensus speech, it seems, from Dave Colon. Now, I want to bring in former State Assemblyman Jerry Kremer because I understand that, Joy, you have lots of questions for Jerry on what we're experiencing and seeing right now.
Jerry, so far, looks like the Republicans are having one heck of a night. Based on what we're hearing from the party chair, they've got Brookhaven. They've got Long Beach by taking the 3 council seats there. And they've got the county executive's office. We haven't heard from Ed Romaine yet, but we did hear Dave Colon. The red wave continues. Are you surprised?
No, really not at all. When they say off year, that should be a terminology for the Democrats. It should be the Democratic off-year party, because somehow the Democrats can't seem to figure out how to get their voters to the polls in these off years. It seems to be that the Democrats are only stimulated by congressional and state legislative races as well as presidential races. So the fact of the matter is that it's not a big surprise that the Democrats didn't do well. In the case of the Suffolk County Executive, I think Dave Colon's major problem was he was running against a brand. Ed Romaine had established a brand throughout Suffolk County with a lot of county-wide exposure over the years. The fact that he was just a town supervisor all these years, he continued to maintain a pretty high public presence. So it was not a good year for the Democrats. It's not a surprise. The Long Beach upset is really not an upset, because when they raised taxes 10% last year, it sort of was an act of lunacy for the Democrats. So the fact of the matter is no big surprises. This is what happens in off years. And until Democrats figure out how to get out their vote, how to energize their base in these years, they're going to continue to be the losing party in off-year elections.
All right, but Jerry, this off-year election is a ramp up to a pretty significant election next year. You know, what's going to be the challenge for both parties? Because the Republicans can continue to build, and the Dems have some time to make up here.
Well, the Democrats nationally and locally are going to have the benefit of one major issue, which is still their gold standard, and that is the issue of support for a woman's right to choose. We saw that, if you will, in a number of races around the country. The referendum in Ohio tonight, indicative of the fact that this is a losing proposition for the Republicans. So next year is a clean slate. My attitude is this is November 2023. Come to me in April or May of next year, and let's see where the Democrats stand. But they've got the issues. The question is, they will win where they have the right candidates next year, and they'll lose where they have the people who are not strong enough. But I mean, this is not a bellwether year for the Democratic Party. This doesn't tell us anything new about how the Democrats are going to make it next year. You can wipe the slate clean, and beginning in January of next year, it's other issues, things that get to the heart and soul of the differences between the parties. But next year is a whole new ball game for the Democrats if they don't mess it up.
If they don't mess it up.
It's got to be tough to see. So there was something that Cologne had said, that he had knocked on 200,000 plus doors, had 1 million or so voters. But right now we're going to go to another speech. Ed Romaine is about to walk out and give what would be a victory speech at this point, even though the numbers are still coming down. Let's hear it from Ed Romaine.
Thank you, Suffolk. You've given me a large mandate tonight. You've crushed it. And we're going to use that mandate to move this county forward. But before I even do that, thank you not only Suffolk, but so many people. I want to start with the one person that made this possible, and that's my wife, Diane. I have so many people to thank. I will be spending the next 4 years thanking all of you, thanking my colleague, Angie Carpenter, a great supervisor. We are going to work together. We're going to govern together. Our state chairman, thank you. Our former congressman, my friend, Lee Zeldin. Our district attorney. All of law enforcement. I received all the endorsements. All of law enforcement. They helped us send the message. But so did all the county workers. AIM. We had so many people help out on this campaign. Obviously, Jesse and Mike, great leaders in their party. Thank you so much. We had the gals in the office, Renee, Maureen. Where are you, gals? We had Brendan Sweeney, believe it or not, our campaign manager. Brendan. There we go. We have Kevin Malloy, our treasurer. God bless you. He kept all the money rolling. Come on, gals. We have John Kennedy, our comptroller. Our presiding officer. We increased our majority in the legislature. We're going to have over 12, possibly 13 legislators when it's done. We've sent a message. We've painted this county red. But through it all, there are many signs being held up tonight. There are many lawn signs. But the one sign that someone else once held up that I saw was a sign that says, "Bring us together." And as your county executive-elect, I intend to bring all of Suffolk together. For a common sense agenda that moves us forward, that keeps our taxes low, that keeps us affordable, that makes sure that we're safer, that our law enforcement has the tools they need to do the job. Thank you. This has been a great campaign, and one of the greatest things in this campaign is meeting all of you.
That is Ed Romaine.
And I know you
giving
all-
his victory speech right now. I'm joined here with Joye Brown, our Newsday columnist and political analyst. Are we surprised? What are some things that he has said during his victory speech? What are some things that Cologne said in his concession speech that stood out to you?
Well, I mean, the most obvious thing is what the county executive-elect said, is we sent a message.
Yep.
We painted this county red. I mean, it doesn't get any simpler than that. He tells us not just that he won, and Cologne tells us not only that he's conceded, but Ed Romaine is also telling us that they've extended their majority on the Suffolk County legislature, which means, according to my little cheat sheet here, GOP gets the Suffolk County legislature, the town of Brookhaven, the county executive's office, Long Beach. He made reference to Angie Carpenter in Islip. They're having a great night.
They are. And we were talking about the balance of power. When it comes to Suffolk County, as it is now, he said 12, possibly 13. How does that power dynamic work there? What will we see?
No, that would be a supermajority.
Exactly.
He said 12 or 13, supermajority. They got it all.
So as a Republican watching this, I know there isn't a bellwether to the national elections next year, but if you're watching this from the national scene, what are you seeing?
Well, what you're seeing is that Republicans had a message that kind of resonated across party lines in a low turnout election. So the message that they had encouraged people who supported them to come out and to vote for them. And their opponents, right? People were not pushed or wanted to go out and vote for their opponents. I mean, and when you think about Nassau and Suffolk together, you know, Republicans are not the majority, which means that they have to craft a message that goes beyond the GOP. And, you know, you heard Jesse Garcia talk about that. You heard Joe Cairo talk about that. And looking at Suffolk County, it's working.
It is. Now I want to bring in former New York Assemblyman Jerry Kremer. Jerry, is there anything that stood out from that victory speech from Ed Romaine that stood out to you?
Politicians declare victories on election night, and they say, I want to bring you together. They generally want to bring together all the Republicans under one roof and make them into a happy crowd. I have a different feeling about Ed Romaine. Ed Romaine, you know, has been a very progressive supervisor in the town of Brookhaven. And I have a feeling that Ed is going to enlist the support of Democrats and independents to try to make this his last hurrah. There's no question that, you know, Ed is not looked upon as a candidate who's going to be running for re-election after this term. But I think this is his legacy opportunity, and I believe that Ed Romaine is going to surprise people by the fact that he reaches out to the other party to try to make Suffolk County work better. And because he's not a 40-year-old or a 50-year-old winning candidate, for the party to survive and hold on to the county executive seat, if you will, they're going to have to show that they're not going to run this as a one-party county. So I found it fascinating because I think Ed Romaine, when he says that he's going to try to unite the county, I think he will. He'll be a partisan, but I think he will reach out more unexpectedly across the aisle than a lot of people may think.
Jerry, let me ask you this. Ed Romaine has always been considered as much a policy geek as he's been considered a politician. What kind of challenges do you think he's going to have? Because now he's got not just the county, he's got patronage, he's got positions to fill, he's got commissioner positions to fill. You know, given his background, you know, try to put yourself in his shoes for just a second. You know, what's he going to do going forward with all of this? Because the temptation there is to go partisan, while at the same time trying to put together a good functioning government.
Well, you know, as I did indicate that, you know, this is his legacy term and, you know, his last hurrah. I think that Ed is going to concentrate on a lot of environmental issues. You've got to remember that there's still many sections of Suffolk County that are not sewered. And Steve Ballone started with a large amount of money towards, if you will, trying to upgrade the sewer system throughout the county. I think he's going to carry on that role because there's no question that the health and the quality of drinking water is really contingent, if you will, on the kind of sewer system that the county has. I think Romaine has got a budget problem in that Suffolk County is not a county that is swimming with cash. Well, they got a lot of money from Washington, as all the other municipalities did. I think he's going to have a lot of issues, if you will, getting to a balanced budget and keeping it that way. Suffolk is not considered among those counties that, if you will, is well regarded by the state controller. They're not on the total watch list, but Suffolk County has fiscal issues. So Ed's going to have a lot of challenges. And it's not just going to be, well, let's fill this job and this fill job. Yes, they will fill jobs because there were a lot of empty slots in the budget with nobody in those positions. But I think he's got a lot of challenges. You know, this is 2024 that's coming, and we're dealing with a whole new paradigm for local government. The kind of things that they didn't do that they could ignore years ago, they don't have that luxury anymore. They have to step up to the plate and worry about the environment, if you will. They have to worry about when you talk about, I'm going to keep your taxes down or I'm going to hold them, well, in order to do that, you need a balanced budget. And in order to do that, you have to be able to make some economies that other politicians don't like. So Ed's got a lot of challenges. It's not status quo anymore. This is a new era and new problems.
Well, Jerry, one of the things that was thrown at Ed during the campaign was that he raised taxes like 8 times. And it's kind of interesting because you can contrast that back in the late 90s or double aughts, I guess, with Nassau County when, for political reasons, former county executive Tom Galata did not raise taxes. And the county ended up getting in trouble. So, you know, Romaine's supporters would say that he did the right thing to keep his budget in balance in Brookhaven. You expect that he will do the right impolitic thing to do the same thing for Suffolk County?
You know, Joye, you're a great historian, and you really bring up what was a sore spot with me with the late county executive Tom Galata. He was a very dedicated public servant, but I urged him every year or two, raise your taxes 1.5%, 2%, and you won't be faced with a major deficit. So it's not going to be a sin to raise taxes in a small and marginal amount, because that keeps you from having a major headache 5 or 6 years later. So yes, he can do small tax increases and survive, and his party can survive too.
All right, well, former State Assemblyman Jerry Kremer, appreciate that for taking the time to speaking with us. We also want to get out to Garden City at Nassau Democratic Headquarters to Virginia Huey. Virginia.
Nassau Democratic Chairman Jay Jacobs came out to the podium to congratulate some of the winners, and one of them joins me now. Scott Davis, you are the legislator-elect of the 1st District. Tell us how you feel about your victory.
I feel relieved. It is a long journey, 6 months of lots of work, lots of help, and we brought it to the table and brought it home.
Tell us how meaningful this is, given that the Nassau Democrats were looking to shift the balance of power in the National Legislature.
I can't underestimate the importance of this victory. If the Republicans got 13 seats, there would be a supermajority, and the Democrats would have been spectators. So the fact that we've held court and that no longer exists is a tremendous, tremendous thing.
And the 1st District, this is a new district, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
So the new district is comprised of 2 areas. It's comprised of Rockville Center, where I've raised my family for the last 17 years, and Hempstead, and that's where I grew up. And that was actually one of the reasons that compelled me to run, because I knew that I had deep roots in both communities, and I had a desire to give back, which I've always done in my career. So it was a great opportunity to take it on a county-wide platform and to be able to give back in a bigger way.
And what are your hopes? I mean, what do you hope to do when you take office in the new year?
Well, one of the things I hope to do is keep an eye on affordability. That's the #1 thing that most people are concerned about. And I believe that we need to prioritize the taxpayers. So when there's a surplus, or where there is one shot, like when we get $54 million from the Sands developers, I think that money should be utilized to offset the tax levy. And I've spoken to many residents And all of them are of the same mind that if we at least make an effort, and even if it's not a tremendous amount, it's not going up. And everyone would appreciate the idea that we're trying to reduce their expenses for living here.
Anything else you'd like to add about your victory? You thanked your wife a few times.
Yes, I have. And one of the things, I'm just very pleased that I'm going to have an opportunity to serve the two places that have meant the most to me, where I grew up and where I raised my family. And I just couldn't think of anything more of a reason to run than that.
Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Okay. And there were a number of other winners on the podium earlier today. We will have more interviews for you in the coming in this hour. For now, in Garden City, I'm Virginia Huey for Newsday TV.
Thank you, Virginia. Right now, we want to go out to Drew Scott over in Holtsville. Drew.
Ken, we've got the Suffolk County Executive's race has apparently been decided. We've heard a concession speech here from David Colon, but still up in the air are a lot of legislative races. Now, remember, in Suffolk, we've got 11 voting Republican and 7 voting Democrat. One of those Democrats is Stephen Engelbright, and this is a second run at going back to the legislature after 30-odd years. You don't want to go to Albany anymore.
Well, I want to come home, of course, and the legislature in Hauppauge and Riverhead is a very exciting forum, and one that is important for the quality of life of everybody who lives in this great county.
Well, you know, you're a geologist by training, and I think we have some serious problems here in Suffolk that need to be solved by the legislature. What do you want to tackle first?
The number one priority is to protect our drinking water. It is the first limiting factor for the well-being of everybody on the island. All of our water on Long Island comes from underground that we drink. And of course, tourism is our number one industry, and that depends upon having clean water at the surface. So water is a big issue, and I have specialized in water-related issues over these many years, and I look forward to bringing that expertise to the legislature.
Well, you certainly have the name recognition after all these years up there in the 5th District area. Yep. Now, to overcome the GOP majority in the Suffolk legislature, you would need to get 9 seats back. Is that doable tonight?
We'll see. Whether we get 9 seats or whatever the number is, the reality is that the issues will really determine what we're able to do with the seats that we hold. And certainly the water issues are going to be a paramount part of what I'm going to be focusing on. And I'll work across the aisle. I have done that in the past. I don't mind trying to speak in 2 languages, Democrat and Republican, and we try to get things done. And by focusing on the mission, we serve the people who sent us best.
Stephen Engelbright, thank you so much for talking to us today in 5th District. We'll watch that race very closely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
All right, I'm Drew Scott, Newsday TV in Holtsville. Back to you, Ken.
All right, Drew, thank you. Now, we're getting a lot more results in. Are there any big surprises yet for you, Joy?
Well, let's talk about results, and let's talk about what the party is telling us, okay? Because I feel like, you know, we're all getting different pieces of an elephant or a burro or whatever we're getting here. We heard from Scott Davis. He tells us that he's won in District 1, right? Kevon Abraham's old seat. He also said, if I heard him correctly, that they might have been able to hang on to enough seats to keep Republicans from
having a supermajority.
From getting a supermajority, but we don't know that yet.
That's right.
That's what he said. We have to wait and see what we know.
Unofficial.
Totally unofficial. Not even unofficial yet. So we got to wait there. Then we had Drew was speaking to Steve Engelbright, a former Suffolk County state lawmaker looking for a seat in the Suffolk County legislature. And again, He tells us that that's what he wants to do, but again, we're still waiting to see what's going on over there. Little pieces are coming through. We got to wait to see what the whole animal looks like.
Now, we're going to go to Sherry Einhorn right now. She is with Ed Romaine's camp. Let's take a listen to Sherry.
You let me know. You got it.
Ken, that's right. We got Suffolk County Executive-elect Ed Romaine joining me now. It was a long walk for you from this stage. You have so many supporters. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling great. We crushed it tonight, and I got a mandate to lead this county into the future, to change the course and direction of the county, to reorganize county government and put it on the right footing, to make Suffolk safer and more affordable. And I intend to do exactly that from day one.
How are you going to do that? In your victory speech, you said you want to work with everybody, bring everyone together.
That's absolutely right. All 18 legislators, regardless of party, are my colleagues, and I view them as my partners. And I intend to work with them openly and honestly and forge agendas that make common sense, like a clean water initiative, like improving transportation, like getting rid of the energy tax that we have in this county, like making sure that the positions of law enforcement that we're being taxed for are filled and not left vacant. Things of that nature, which are simple common sense.
When you and I spoke a few weeks ago at the debate, you talked a lot about how your experience made you the right guy for the job. How are you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling great. I've got 38 years of elective office behind me, running the largest town in the county, and I'm ready to run this county and set it on a different course and direction. But I'm going to do that together with all 18 of my colleagues, regardless of party. Our job is to bring this county together. Our job is to speak for Suffolk, first, last, and always. And I intend to do that and be a strong voice for this county.
Thank you very much. There's lots of people who want you. I appreciate your time. That is Suffolk County Executive-elect, current Brookhaven Town Supervisor, Ed Romaine, on his victory tonight. That's the very latest here at Suffolk GOP headquarters in Patchogue. I'm Sherry Einhorn for Newsday TV. Ken, back to you.
Thank you, Sherry. All right, so we heard safer, more affordable, bring this county together. What did you hear?
Well, it sounds like the quintessential Ed Romaine. As I said, he was always more about policy than he was about politics. But what's interesting here is he's saying, hey, your supermajority isn't going to matter. I'm going to work with this legislation.
18 call them their colleagues.
I'm going to work with all of you guys to sort of get what needs to be done. I'm going to set an agenda. He says he's going to reorganize county government. Let's see what that's going to look like. And he's going to set Suffolk in the future. And he's talking, as Jerry suggested he would be, about his legacy. And he points out that he's been in government for 38 years. And this is a chance for him to take all of what he's put together and bring in something new.
Now, he was also hitting on some agendas like transportation, the energy tax, and also on law enforcement. What does he have in his brand, like a former state assembly, Jerry Kremer, had mentioned, that could help him get those agendas done?
Well, let's talk about, he's identifying some of the great categories that need to be done. Suffolk County, for example. If you need public transportation, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard, especially going north-south. So that's been an issue out there that needs to be taken care of. He talked about the environment, right? Sewers, I'm telling you.
It's one of the biggest issues. We've heard it over and over and over again.
That you're going to hear over and over and over again. That is an impediment to some of the things that need to get done. He's talking about police or law enforcement, I should say. What he mentioned specifically was, hey, there's some empty jobs on the books that are going unfilled. I'm going to fill those jobs. If memory serves, I believe a lot of them are detectives. So he wants to beef up the detective corps in the Suffolk County Police Department. And that I think would be something that's important for Suffolk County residents, you can tell it's getting late, who are concerned about things like public safety.
Now, when it comes to Democrats who are listening and watching all these results, seeing these Republicans take these critical roles, what is it about Ed Romaine that at least will soften the blow to a diehard Democrat that may not be so bad?
Well, diehard Democrat, I'm not sure I know what that is, to tell you the truth. I think one thing that the Republican Party speaks to very strongly, and you know, you've heard this from the party chair, you've even heard this from Democrats, is we're the suburbs, the suburban nature of who we are and what we are, the challenges that we face in terms of housing, transportation, taxes, you know, balanced budgets. There are things that need to get done. Some things they haven't mentioned, for example, the opioid crisis.
That's right.
Right? So there's a lot here that needs to get done, and you had an open seat, and you had two candidates who presented their vision. Ed Romaine gets a chance to put his vision into practice.
Now I want to bring in former State Assemblyman Jerry Kremer. You heard Ed Romaine's interview with Sherry Einhorn. Is there anything that stood out to you, Jerry?
Person who his door was always open to anybody, you know, who wanted to come in and talk to him about something that was relevant to government. I think, you know, this is his legacy term, and I think nothing is going to get in the way of him trying to make it work. I think he's going to try to work with a minority in the legislature as well as the majority. I think he's going to bring in some people into county government who will, hopefully will be a pleasant surprise. And I think he's going to try to tackle the issues of the day as best he can. It is interesting. Usually when somebody has been in public life that long, this is just, you know, don't slam the door on the way out. I think Ed has a completely different philosophy. He's had a great brand that's carried him through this election. I don't think he wants to spoil it now over the next 4 years. So I think he will surprise a lot of people, and his message to Sherry was pretty much that. He's willing to hit the ground running. I think he's willing to bring on some good people. And, you know, time will tell. But, I mean, if ever there was a Republican who was capable, if you will, of doing that, and I say that kindly, is Ed is the guy, because he's a brand, but he's not necessarily the Republican county executive in that kind of concept.
Because right now we want to go to the Republican chairman of Suffolk County, Jesse Garcia, who is speaking right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start with this 10, and we may not end till like 13 or 14. Let me introduce to you first the presiding officer of this caucus in the county legislature, Kevin McCaffrey.
What a great night, isn't it? This is just the beginning. We elected Ed Romaine as our county executive, and we are going to maintain this majority in the Suffolk County Legislature, and we can't wait to go to work with Ed Romaine to really make this a safe, affordable place here in Suffolk County. 2 years ago, I stood on this stage, and we elected Ray Tierney as our district attorney, and we took over the majority in Suffolk County, and we have made you proud in those 2 years, and we're going to continue to make you proud as we're going to grow our majority and continue to make this the place Suffolk County deserves to be, where you want to live and work and enjoy yourself and protect our environment. And most importantly, we are going to be having your backs no matter what is facing you. Proud to be here, proud to be a presiding officer, and we are going to be proud to be announcing later on as we grow a majority here in the legislature. Thank you very much. Thank you to Chairman Garcia, Chairman Torres, for making this possible.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Something that we've made.
Jesse Garcia again speaking right now. Now, is there anything about Kevin McCarthy and what he said, the presiding officer of Suffolk County Legislature, is there anything that stood out to you in that brief speech he just gave?
Well, he says they're going to grow the majority. So before we heard 11 or 12, if I'm not mistaken, did I hear 13 or 14?
I think he said 13. We have to.
So, I mean, we don't know. But again, as I say, we're getting little pieces here and there. But it does say, well, he said flat out that they maintain the majority.
That's right.
The question is, how much of a majority did they pick up, or flip it around, how much did the Dems lose?
That's right. So, and he also was talking about environmental concerns, because again, that's a huge issue in Suffolk County. Everyone is speaking about that.
Suffolk County, again, we've gotten reports about the quality of our water. We've gotten reports of the quality about the waters surrounding and inside of Suffolk County. And, you know, algae blooms, all of these things. So it's kind of interesting that you're hearing all of this now, because it's now front and center for all of us, and which means that hopefully it becomes front and center in terms of policy, not just in terms of saying, hey, we have to save our environment, but hey, these are some concrete steps that we're going to have to take to make certain that we keep, you know, pristine as much as we can keep pristine, and keep our drinking water as good as it can be. Because I'm sure you know this, I know you know this, you know, we get our drinking water, it's not piped in. We get it from our groundwater.
There's some places that also have wells, like, as you know.
Some places also have wells.
And they were talking about affordable housing, a huge issue over and over again. How do you think these Republicans are going to make that more accessible, get that affordable housing?
Well, look, you've got a couple things going on here. You know, nobody on Long Island, Republican or Democrat, or some Democrats, I should say, to be fair, they didn't like the idea of Governor Hochul imposing a policy.
They want more control
that
of that.
would force local governments to do something that local governments may and probably may not want it to do, right? Their whole thing is, look, we know what's best for our area, we know what's best for our neighborhoods, let us do it, we'll let it go. The policy fights over that doesn't change the reality that Long Island needs more housing that people can get into without, you know, bidding on a house or overbidding on a house. We want kids out of basements. You want kids that left Long Island getting married, having kids to come back to Long Island.
That's right.
That is a challenge. That's a policy challenge. Once you get rid of the politics on it, how is this legislature, how is this county executive-elect going to deal with that?
Is there something in the legislature that stands out to you that is something that's going to be hopeful for those Long Islanders who said, my vote counted, I can't wait to see this now?
Well, low turnout. So, you know, your vote.
Very few people are saying, I voted and I'm going to see this now.
But those very few people's vote had a large impact. Let's put it that way. We've changed direction here. 12 years as Democrat, we're going Republican now.
That's right.
Instead of having someone who served as a town supervisor, as Steve Ballone once did, or served in town government as Steve Ballone once did, you've got somebody who's used to working with county stuff.
Yeah.
And with county stuff, you're used to working with federal stuff. And as Brookhaven, you're also used to working with local stuff. So he can do this. He knows ways to get this thing done. The question is he going to get the cooperation that he needs to get it? And what he seems to be saying is, hey, I don't want to be partisan about this thing.
He called them partners, my colleagues, all of them.
I don't want to be partisan. I don't want to play partisan games. We have issues. I want to deal with them. We're going to deal with them together. And by the way, that'll be a change, because once the Republicans took over the legislature, you know, it was not all, you know, hearts and flowers with the Democratic county executive, with our outgoing Democratic county executive.
All right, well, I just want to briefly go out now because we do have another speech. We're going to pull it up for you right now.
For what you do on a daily basis for our communities, for our families. Thank you for working hard to get every one of us up here, because if it wasn't for you, some of us wouldn't be up here. Thank you, law enforcement. Thank you, God bless you. Thank you, all my labor friends, too. We have a long way to go. I won't be happy until some of my colleagues that are still off to the side are up here with us. They deserve to be up here with us. They will be up here with us. I'm praying for them. But congratulations to Chad, congratulations to my colleagues, and thank you again. Good night. God bless you all.
Nikki Caracappa, ladies and gentlemen. We've called a new race. We've flipped another seat here in Suffolk County. After being in the wilderness of Democrat control for the last 11 years. And I know her father is looking down on her with big eyes, a big heart, a big soul. We have returned a Stark to public service. Catherine Stark is the new legislator from the 1st District.
Thank you so much. My biggest shout out goes to Chairman Jesse Garcia for having faith in me, and to the people of the 1st Legislative District, thank you. And yes, my father is looking down, and he's so happy not just about me, but about Ed and all of my fellow legislators that have been voted in tonight. Suffolk is on the right track, and we are going to make it a place to live, not leave.
While we're talking about flipping seats, Anthony Piccirillo is another one of those individuals. He's a locomotive, ladies and gentlemen. Never stops. Has not stopped since 2017. Has not stopped since he was elected to the legislature. He will continue to run and move forward. Legislator Piccirillo, the first seat we flipped in 2019, re-elected by huge numbers, 63%. Anthony Piccirillo. Oh, there you are. He didn't have this beard like an hour ago.
Thank you, Chairman Garcia. The Republican Revolution is alive and well in Suffolk County. I want to thank Chairman Garcia and Chairman Torres for the great game plan that they put together for all of our candidates. I want to say a special thank you to my family, my mother, my brother here tonight, as well as my campaign team, Dara and Desi, and a big special shout out to my campaign manager, my chief of staff, Dormery. She put the first plan together in 2017. We rolled it over to 2019 and into the future, and results matter, and we are now leading in the vote. So thank you so much, everybody. We look forward to serving another 2 years. Thank you.
All right, now we're going to go to Macy N with more results on those results boards. Macy, take it away.
Yeah, hey guys, let's get a look at the latest results. Again, the Suffolk County Executive with 45% of the precincts reporting. We heard that victory speech from Republican Ed Romaine, who will take over for Steve Ballone. Let's move over to his open seat then. Brookhaven Supervisor Dan Panico. We also heard a victory speech from him earlier in the night. You see 43% of the precincts are reporting in Brookhaven right now. Over to Islip Town Supervisor. Republican Angie Carpenter is the incumbent in this race. She has been the supervisor there since 2015. You see she has a substantial lead with 56% of the precincts reporting. Moving over to Hempstead Supervisor. Republican incumbent Don Clavin running up against Democrat Olena Nix. Clavin seeking his 3rd term right now with 65% of the vote. In North Hempstead, Republican incumbent Jennifer DeSena seeking her 2nd term against Democrat John Kamen, the former supervisor of North Hempstead, trying to secure the role again. Right now, Jennifer DeSena is in the lead with 39% of the precincts reporting. Oyster Bay Town Supervisor, incumbent Republican Joe Saladino, hoping to secure his fourth term. 33% of the precincts are reporting here. He's got 63% of the vote, a substantial lead there. Glen Cove mayor here, Pamela Panzenbeck, the Republican, hoping to secure a 2nd term as mayor, running against the former Nassau County Comptroller, Democrat George Maragos, who was elected as part of the Republican Party, now running for mayor as a Democrat. So let's talk about your legislatures now. We begin in Suffolk County. We just heard from Catherine Stark a moment ago, right now with 53% of the vote for District 1 in Suffolk County. Moving to District 2 in Suffolk County, this is the southeastern region of Suffolk, Southampton, East Hampton. Republican Manny Villar running against Democrat Ann Welker, who right now has a pretty substantial lead, 69% of the precincts reporting there in Suffolk. In District 3, this is South Central Suffolk. Suffolk County, Democrat Thaddeus O'Neill running against Jim Mazzarella, the Republican incumbent, hoping to secure a second term. 60% of the precincts reporting in this one. In District 4, Democrat Timothy Hall running against Republican Nicholas Caracappa, the incumbent, who we also just heard from moments ago. 45% of the precincts are reporting, and he's got 63% of the vote. In District 5, this is the North Shore, Stony Brook, Port Jefferson, Setaufic area. We've got Democrat Stephen Engelbright running against Republican Anthony Figliola. Engelbright, a career politician. He was a 30-year member of the state assembly. He's got 54% of the vote. Let's move on to District 6 right now. Republican Chad Lennon running against Democrat Dorothy Cavalier. We've got Chad Lennon with 61% of the vote right now. This is North Shore and Central Suffolk, Miller Place, Yaphank, and Shoreham areas. District 7, Republican Dominic Thorne, the incumbent in this race who was elected in 2021, running against Democrat Ryan McGarry. Early in the night, this race was extremely close. Now we've got 33%, and you see Dominic Thorne, the incumbent, kind of moving some ground here with this one. We'll keep a close eye on it. Let's move to District 8 in Suffolk County. Democrat Heather Gallagher running against Republican incumbent Anthony Piccirillo. You also just heard from him. 55% of the precincts are reporting. He's got 69% of the vote as it stands right now. That's Suffolk. Now we head over to Nassau County. First district here. We heard from Scott Davis with Virginia Huey a little bit ago. You see he's got 70% of the vote for the first district, with 59% of the precincts reporting. This is Kevon Abraham's seat, the minority leader for the Nassau County Legislature. Moving on to District 2, this is Central Nassau County. Republican Karen Campbell running against Democrat incumbent Sela Bino, who right now has 72% of the vote. She is hoping to secure her 5th term. District 3, Nassau County, incumbent Democrat Carrie A. Solage, who was elected in 2011, up against Republican Shariar Ali. This is the western border of Nassau County, with 70% of the precincts reporting. District 4 for Nassau County, Democrat Alexis Price and Republican Patrick Mullaney, who has a pretty significant lead right now. This is southern Nassau County. District 5 for Nassau. This is South Central Nassau, with 82% of the precincts reporting. We've got Democrat Seth Koslow leading Republican Joseph Baker right now. Over in District 6, this is South Central Nassau, Southwestern Nassau. Republican Benjamin Jackson. Seems like something is a little off. There we go. Okay. Live TV, everyone. We've got incumbent Deborah Muley with 59% of the vote. 51% of the precincts are reporting for District 6. Let's move on to District 7 here. Democrat Tanvir Ahmed running against longtime incumbent Republican Howard Coppell, who is the Nassau Legislature's deputy presiding officer, hoping to secure an 8th term tonight. There you go. He's the winner. This one's been called already. District 8 for Nassau County, Central Western Nassau, Republican John Drafay, your incumbent in this race, seeking his 2nd term against Erica Rico, with 64% of the precincts currently reporting. And finally, Nassau County, District 9, which is Central Western Nassau. We've got Republican Scott Strauss. If we could just advance to the next full screen so we can take a look at these results. Thank you very much. Against Democrat Niraj Kumar. Scott Strauss, the Republican, looking to win this one as it stands, with 44% of the precincts reporting. So that's a look at the latest. We have a lot more to go over. Some winners declared in a few of these races. We've heard a few victory speeches tonight, some succession speeches tonight. We'll keep an eye on the results. I'll let you guys know in a few.
A lot to dive in with those boards, and I want to bring in former New York State Assemblyman Jerry Kremer for you and Joy to kind of talk about what we're seeing when it comes to those results.
Well, Jerry, let me ask you this. We are seeing concession speeches, we're seeing acceptance speeches, and we're not seeing the results on our board. Why is that? I mean, I know why it is, but tell everybody, why is it that the parties seem to know more than we know right now?
Well, it's been a historical problem, Joy, for as far back as I can remember doing election nights, that the party bosses tell the Board of Elections in most instances how fast they want them to release figures. And I think what you have is the same problem that we've had historically for years, and that is that the Board of Elections holds back information at the request of the various political parties. And in Nassau County generally, over the years, the Republican Party has held back, if you will, the board numbers. But yet the candidates stand up there and say, thank you very much, and I won. And it's the same with Suffolk County. And for some reason, and I don't understand it, this is, 2023. To imagine the idea that with all the technology that's available, that we have party bosses declaring victors, and in the meantime, the figures coming to us are far behind. I mean, I'm getting emails as I sit here from a number of candidates saying, how do you know I won or how do you know I lost when I don't have any official figures and I don't have 100% of the vote? So once again, it's the Board of Elections really operating at the requests of the party officials instead of vice versa.
Well, let's talk about the Board of Elections. The Board of Elections is set up so that both parties control who works there, and there's supposed to be equal numbers. But doesn't that also mean that the party people are in a position to know what's first and pass it along party-wise, as opposed to passing it along to the rest of us this way?
Well, I think it's the party officials in both parties somehow sort of have this handshake where they allow, if you will, the party leaders to pretty much call in and say this is what we would prefer, and they defer to it. So is the system any better than it was 20 years ago? No, it's really not. And in fairness to the public, it's not right for candidates to be up there without us, the people, if you will, knowing exactly what the figures are. So is the system any better than it was a long time ago? No, it's really not.
All right, well, thank you so much, former State Assemblyman Jerry Kremer. Thank you so much for joining us and, of course, giving us that analysis. Now, we are going to take a short break, and, of course, you can check out all the results on our voters guide. Just head over to Newsday.com and check that out. It is interactive. It is constantly updating, and we'll be back in a short break.